Environment and its components like forest biodiversity and natural resources offer immense goods and services to people. Therefore, there is a need to use it judicially and in sustainable manner. Youth and civil societies organizations have a big role in environmental protection and sustainable development. Keeping the importance of the subject, VYK Kendra, India, in collaboration with OISCA Japan, has organized an international webinar on balancing environment and development, conflicts, concerns, conservation, and commitments for a better future in the era of climate change. Let us view glimpses of the webinar and hear what our eminent speakers have to say.
So, good morning, everybody, and namaste. I, on behalf of VYK Kendra and OISCA, wholeheartedly welcome one and all present in the international webinar on balancing environment and development, conflict, concern, conservation, and commitment for a better future in the era of climate change. We are honored to have Mr. Nagashi Yasuki, Secretary General OISCA, Japan, as a guest of honor in the webinar. We welcome you, sir, for your august presence. It is a matter of great pleasure to have with us Ms. Gayatri Raghava from United Nations Environment Program India. On behalf of VYK Kendra and OISCA, I welcome you, ma'am, to this occasion. We are delighted to welcome Mr. Yuki Yoshida, Environmental Attaché, Embassy of Japan, India. Sir, thank you very much for being with us in spite of your busy schedule. I also would like to welcome respected moderator, Group Captain R. Srinivasan, for the founder, director, Pragna Center for Research, Tamil Nadu, India. Friends, it is our pleasure to welcome all the foreign delegates who are with us to share their country's perspective on the subject. In the series, I would like to welcome Mr. Neil Krishna Tamrakar, who is the chairman of MMIST College, Kathmandu, Nepal. Sir, I, on behalf of VYK Kendra and OISCA, welcome you to the webinar. We are privileged to have Mr. Mulyono Halambang, who is the awardee of Satta Lencana Pembangunan, a presidential award of Indonesia. Sir, we welcome you in this occasion. I also would like to welcome Dr. Khalil Showa, Executive Director, State Council for Women and Lifelong Education, Kerala, India, for being with us. In the series, I would also like to welcome Mr. G. Herman, Founder and Secretary General OISCA, Israel, and also Dr. Ariki Levy, Assistant Professor and Assistant Dean, Jindal School of Environment and Sustainability, to the webinar. Friends, we have with us a very young speaker, who is Ms. Anisa Abubakar, who is associated with Nativity Girls College, Ethiopia. We welcome you, Ms. Anita, and are eager to hear you. We feel honored to welcome Ms. Jennifer Di Pelaro from Edge National High School, Philippines, for accepting our invitation and for being with us. I heartily welcome Ms. Nchaya Thongnunui of Prince Songla University, Thailand, for agreeing to be one of the speakers in the occasion. I feel honored to welcome Mr. Kutsuki Fumio, Secretary General, OISCA International, who I can say is the key instrumental behind this webinar. Friends, I must welcome the team of OISCA and VYK for visualizing this important theme, also for the planning and execution of this program. Last but not the least, especially I would like to welcome all my dear participants from India and abroad who are with us to equip themselves with knowledge on the important issue and to replicate the best practices to make the earth friendly and lovely place for the living being.
It's my proud privilege and honor to be presenting the objective and background of the program. Thanks to VYK and OISCA, both pioneers in their respective fields of operation, and the wonderful tie-ups that they have been having for creating awareness in many significant areas. Allow me to briefly go into the objective and the background of the program. Today, as you all know, this international webinar is one of the most important topics, which is definitely a cause for concern to all mankind and all living organisms in the world. We all know the importance of environment and its components like forests, biodiversity, and natural resources, which offer immense goods and services to mankind. Therefore, there is a need to use it judiciously and in a sustainable manner. As you all know, we have only one planet, and we should ensure that it is best respected and protected for improved quality of life. Due to the pressures of overconsumption, population growth, and technology, the biophysical environment is being degraded, sometimes permanently. This has been recognized, and governments have begun placing restraints on activities that cause environmental degradation. Deforestation and forest degradation continue to take place at alarming rates, which contributes significantly to the ongoing loss of biodiversity. Now, we cannot say that mankind is not concerned about environment. They are. But the quest for development and progress caused environmental concerns to be put aside. However, growing awareness of ecological crisis has increased concerns for environment in recent times. Protection and conservation of the environment is a responsibility of all citizens. It is here that youth and civil organizations have a great role to play. Now, we all know how the pandemic has caused havoc in the economic sectors across the globe. While COVID-19 caused great pressure worldwide and affected almost the entire economy of all nations, there has been a silver lining too. The world came to a standstill during the year 2021, and accordingly, all harmful emissions were also greatly reduced and air quality was significantly improved. The water quality in several polluted areas has also been remarkably enhanced. So, in a way, we can say that while the COVID-19 pandemic has shrunk the global economy, the pandemic has also clearly benefited to other sectors, which must be considered as a spotlight for the permanent revival of the global ecosystem. The earth seems to be healing, and the biggest challenge presently is to ensure that post-pandemic, we must continue to respect the environment. We are literally consuming the earth that sustains us. It is important for all of us to recognize the significance of environment. Sustainability. Sustainability is no longer about doing less harm. It is about doing better, which would enable us to drive the positive change that our environment needs from us. It is with this in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that VYK and OISCA got together for this international webinar to get the views from experts across the globe. Let us hear from them. Both environment as well as development is important. So we have to see how best we can balance this and take both forward together. Let us all join together to make this world a better place to live in.
I would like to say that this webinar is held at a very opportune time when we are just coming out of the COVID pandemic, and the world has been suffering a lot, and there's a lot of economic and physical and mental issues which have come up. And it shows this is the time for sustainability. And also, just when we are out of this pandemic, we have another crisis of an international crisis which is coming up in between Ukraine and Russia. These are very conflicting times, and we have to, I think we as individuals, as NGOs, as societies, we have to come forward through this medium what we are here today to help in whatever way we can to resolve and to spread the message of peace, which our father of a nation, Mahatma Gandhi, had spread while we gained independence through peace and not through violence. I would also like to say a few words about OISCA and our association with OISCA started in the 60s through my late father and the time of the Green Revolution. And it was a very successful association. And he always valued his relationship so much. And then OISCA International was also always extended a lot of respect to him. And during the last about 10 years, I have, along with my brother Arun, we have together tried to take forward the message of OISCA in our own way and also augmenting the efforts of OISCA, South India, North India, and other chapters. I would say that our role is most to assist the chapters in India and to do whatever we can to promote the activities of OISCA, which are very laudable and very respected today. And I must also say that during the last few years, we have helped in forming a cooperation agreement between OISCA International and National Mission for Clean Ganga. This is a very noble cause, which was very respected by both the Indian side and the OISCA International, the President and the Secretary General and all the team, Mr. Watanabe in particular, who took a lot of interest in this. And we are trying to set up, like, there are many training centers in all over the world, which are being run by OISCA. It was the aim of my late father that we should have one OISCA training center in each state in the country. We have one at the moment in Kerala, but it should be that model should be repeated in other states to spread the message of environment and also peace and to increase the livelihood means for our people. So with this message, I would like to, while welcoming all the participants, the young people, I will request you to take forward this meeting and let us have a resolution which we can extend and also send to the different conflicting zones which are there today, that what we are praying and what we are hoping is peace and tranquility all over the world.
VYK was, the whole of VYK came in the year 1958. There was a World Assembly of Youth which had to be held in India. So back then there was no as such a youth center in India which could cater to youth coming from different countries, working on policy in the grassroots. So back then we have started this organization, and it was started in the year 1958. And this was registered as the Indian Youth Centers Trust on 10th August 1961. The Vishwa Yuva Kendra's building was inaugurated on the 22nd of December 1968 by the then President of India, Dr. Zakir Hussain. This is the photo of that, the inaugural ceremony of Vishwa Yuva Kendra. So Vishwa Yuva Kendra has been really privileged to have really great founder members. This was started with the active support of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, with Shri Moraji Desai, who was the founder chairman and also the then Prime Minister of India, as well as Srimati Indira Gandhi ji, who was the then Prime Minister of India, Shri Ramakrishna Bajaj ji, Shri Naval H. Tata, Shri Ravindra Verma, Shri Viren Shah. They were the founder trustees of Vishwa Yuva Kendra. Vishwa Yuva Kendra, the present board of trustees of Vishwa Yuva Kendra are Mr. Rajat Narayan, Mr. Shishir Bajaj, S.R. Halveji, Hemant Pampalia ji, Kushagra Nayan Bajaj ji, and Nirad Mehta ji. So these are, as you see, we are now displaying the programs which are conducted by Vishwa Yuva Kendra, the in-house programs which are conducted at Delhi, at our campus in New Delhi, at Chanakyapuri, where we have various capacity building programs. And these capacity programs are then extended to all the states and union territories of India. And we are doing capacity building for the youth and capacity building for civil society organizations as well. Then we are also working in the integrated community development program, which are the urban and rural slums of India and Delhi. So we are working in quite a few communities here, and we are working with them in an integrated way as well. And we are also doing institutional tie-up programs as well at various colleges and schools of India. This is just a glimpse of that as well. So as you see, these are different programs in various schools and colleges around India. These are community development programs that we do with the underprivileged people as well. We do a lot of work with the youth, especially. We are working all across India, and we are working with our partners. And OISCA International South India chapter, where Mr. Arvind Babu is, they are one of our nodal partners in South. We are a self-sustaining organization. When we talk about development, we always mean sustainability. And we are blessed with a resource center here in Delhi, with a campus where we have the rooms, dormitories, we have seminar halls, meeting halls, the youth cafes, the library, and various such facilities, which the youth can use from around the world. This is our campus as well. These are room and dormitories that VYK has. VYK's response to COVID-19, if we share here. We have been doing many such programs like the COVID-19 vaccination drive, the sensitization and awareness programs, Project Nani Impehel, which is supporting disabled people, Project Credila, which is basically helping the elder people, the rural elders. Then we are doing a Baki Rasoi, which is an initiative by Mahatma Gandhi ji. Then we are having the skill and entrepreneurship development training by the Bosch Caregiver Program. This is just a glimpse of the programs. Right. This is the media clippings of the program that we are doing. This is the Credila project glimpses. VYK always believes in the concept of LNOB, which is leave no one behind. So we are working in each and every part of the country, leaving nobody behind. And we always believe in inclusive growth and partnerships and collaborations. Like we have been working with OISCA, associated with OISCA for more than 30 years through Mr. Babu as well, and the OISCA team as well. So, so we are working with many such organizations around the world. These are a few topics that we work on. These are all thematic issues. Most of the issues are related with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. These are our esteemed speakers and our guests who are always part of us. You know, this is why it is a training center. So we have many good trainers, a lot of alumni, a lot of people from the government, from the civil society sector, and all of you today, you are also part of VYK as well. So we will surely be connected to you all as well. And VYK has a very strong digital presence post-COVID, and we are reaching through the online mediums to each and every one. So that helps us to give away the physical barrier so that we can reach each and everybody. This is our digital intervention, because I think as the time goes now, we have to be digitally empowered, as our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi says, we have to be digitally empowered. So, right. So we have a digital studio, which is coming up, a digital library. This is our social media details. Thank you so much. I hope this was informative to you, and you can always get in touch with us or connect with us.
Youth development has been the primary concern that OISCA has engaged since its inception. Today, at the time of rapid changes in our society and environment as well, youth will need to participate in their movement to usher in a new era shaped by themselves, because young people will shoulder the future. In the occasion of the 60th anniversary of OISCA International, celebrated last October, we have expressed new dimension of our activities for the next 10 years that are: one, ecosystem-based solution, so-called EBS. to business-based solution, BBS. The ecosystem-based solution is to create the resilient communities. The increased frequency and the intensity of disasters such as typhoon, flood, drought, forest fire, widening desertification problems, gravely affecting vulnerable communities. We are working with these communities to increase their resilience to disaster through ecosystem-based solutions, such as rehabilitate, reforest in the mountains, mangrove reforestation, combating desertification, and restoring denuded ecosystem for a cost-effective and sustainable way to mitigate the disasters and create the sound environment. The business-based solution is to enhance the partnership with the business sectors in order to overcome the social problems such as poverty, urban pollution, encouraging social business, and imparting training on eco-friendly practices of food production to the local farmers and youth in different countries. Today, we have many problems: deforestation, loss of biodiversity, climate change at all global level. But youth could be an influencer to make a difference in their hometown. They can talk with the people about their plans to make their home a better place. In 2019, the conflagration burned down forests worldwide, the area of which was some 800,000 square kilometers, more than 1.5 times the land of Japan. Because we lost thousands of times more than the area planted with the trees destroyed by fires in only 1 year. However, planting trees to create rich forest is meaningful at the local level. The forest planted in a locality will benefit the location and people living there. It will enrich the soil, increase the biodiversity, and enhance water storage capacity. The collective effort, holistic and action-oriented approach of harnessing the power of nature is proven to be cost-effective and sustainable measure in addressing global issues of climate change and disaster mitigation. I hope you will discuss how to strengthen your community with balancing environment and development. Please join us in conserving, protecting, and restoring degraded ecosystems. Your responsible action will positively change the future.
So without wasting much time, I'd like to go ahead with the topic. And I presume I'm speaking to the youth. So basically my topics would be addressing youth rather than, generic or a more technical presentation. So here, I'm just putting it on a slideshow. So balancing environment and development. So we talk about conflicts, concerns, conservation, etc. In my opinion, if we had actually educated our students on sustainable development and not development, for years together, we pursued a path of development. We made more roads, more building, more cement, more everything. So if we raise up our children to do the same. So we never, ever educated our children for sustainable development. And then at this point in time where we have come to a crossroads, we talk about sustainable development. So that said, as a teacher who has been doing environment education for the past 40 years. So we see some mega trends in the world today. We have globalization, we talk about it. We talk about homogenization. We have a Pepsi is available everywhere in all countries, anywhere, any village, any place. Digitalization. We live in a digital world, yet we are so disconnected. We are so disconnected. We are so alone. Commodification of everything. Just we commodify anything and everything. We put a value to it. Rise of xenophobia, socio-ecological crisis. There is a general systemic dysfunctionality. There is a general unsustainability, which is there. These are some of the mega trends that I wanted to talk to you. If I ask you, what is wrong with this image? What does the image tell you? You'll immediately tell me, you've drawn it wrong. You've shown more than one Earth. You've got 1 point, more than half an Earth. Basically, this image is to tell you that even though I think the first speaker talked about we have only one planet, even though we have only one Earth, all of us together live as though we have 1.67 Earths and not one Earth. So our consumption patterns are such. So question then, time to question ourselves. Are we a part of the problem? Are we a part of the solution? This is where the word sustainability is a very, very, very tricky word, and everybody understands it very differently. So if I just break it, what is sustainability? Sustain ability, ability to sustain. So the question comes up, what is it that you want to sustain? Do I want to sustain the malls? Do I want to sustain all the the stuff which is out there? Or do I want to sustain the flora, fauna, or what? We all proclaim that we love environment, but I would rather see a mall than go to another place. If we have these kinds of a duality in ourselves, then we have to remember we only sustain what we value or what we love. So we have to know what is it that we truly value so that we can love that and we can sustain it. We came with a global agenda, and I saw that you were mentioning that in your previous talk as well, which is the SDG, which is Sustainable Development Goals. And VYK said that we don't want to leave anyone behind. We wanted an equitable, inclusive, and a green growth. But question is, are we on track? What happened? COVID happened. After the COVID, what happened? Global GDP decreased by an estimated 3.5%. Pandemic pushed 124 million people into extreme poverty. 1 in 3 people did not have adequate access to food. 45% increase in child mortality. Total working hours fell by 8.8%. Violence against women and child. Waste management systems under stress. This is what happened. So are we anywhere near the SDGs or achieving the SDGs is what I'd like to ask ourselves. Today, we are facing a triple planetary crisis of climate emergency, loss of biodiversity, and pollution. So this is directly a consequence of our current economic development. 60% of our ecosystems are damaged because it has been unsustainably used. We are expecting a rise of 3 degrees Celsius temperature by the end of the century. By 2030, we'll have 2 to 3 billion additional middle-class consumers. 140 billion tons of natural resources would be needed to just look at their consumption and to cater to the consumption of the increasing population. And this is where the question, as I asked right in the beginning, what are we developing our youth for? Development or sustainable development? Right? So if we go development in the usual manner or a business as usual, we can definitely not expect to go in a right manner. We know that 1 million species are at risk. Okay. Biodiversity is collapsing, ecosystems are getting degraded. Global extreme events, 2021, we heard British Columbia, 50 degrees Celsius temperature. Australia, wildfires. Uttarakhand, underwater. I am talking to you from a village in Himachal. I live in a village. The land just next to me just fell off because of excessive rain last time. There is polar ice which is melting. We heard about Tamil Nadu, what was happening, and I'm sure Indonesia, Philippines, all of you who are here today, present here today, have had your own extreme events in 2021. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called Code Red for humanity. Act now. We don't have a choice. It's time to move. Enough of awareness. We've been talking awareness for just far too long. We just need to act and act immediately. Civil society organizations definitely have a very, very big role to play. CSOs lies at the heart of sustainable development because they are local level organizations. They work locally to solve global problems and they promote self-reliant actions. So the importance of CSOs can never be denied, but the importance of youth is even more. I would say to all the youth present here today, you have 1,000K present here today. Take back your world, just take it back. 3.5 billion today of youth today are actually under 30 years of age. We say youth are critical thinkers, change makers, innovators, communicators, and leaders. A survey done by Bath University revealed that most of the youth today are really concerned and they are under stress about environment and climate change. So at UNEP, what do? At UNEP, our vision is to create the next generation of young leaders. We reach out to youth, collaborate with youth movement and partners to build a learning and proper behavior. We increase student awareness, behavior change, job opportunities, leadership capacities among students. I would like to share with you an example of what we do. We do a program in India, which is the Titan Plastic Challenge. We've taken one issue in India, as the person who, Mr. Thomas, who introduced me, said. We started with what we call as Tide Turner Plastic Challenge. This is a challenge for youth. All youth who participate are expected to take 3 challenge levels, and they have to pass each challenge with tasks that are allocated to them. We've engaged with Scouts and Guides movements and other youth movements. And I would like to share some success stories. And first is, why did we start this? Why did we start with the Tide Turner Plastic Challenge? Because by 2050, we're expecting more plastic than fish per weight in the oceans. And that's the reason why we started it. Now, the success stories today, I hope to sort of inspire the youth who are present here today. We have a Sneha Shahi, who is a Tide Turner champion. We call her a crocodile girl. Why? Because in Bhuki River, she, with her classmates in Vadodara, she studied in engineering college there. With her classmates, she cleaned the Bhuki River. And then no one ever knew that crocodiles and flat-tailed turtles were there. And then they all came back after she cleaned it up of the plastic that was there. She's a champion today, the crocodile girl. Now, I bring you the turtle girl, which is Mansi Thakur and her friend Jaideep. These people in a small place like Mahua in the coast of Gujarat, which used to be a nesting ground for green turtles, was littered with plastic. They have made it a habit of every Saturday, Sunday, they go to clean up. And they've cleaned up the place of plastic. And now the turtles are back laying the eggs again happily. This is what our students and our youth are capable of. And this is what they're doing. Sometimes I think, are we talking to the youth or youth are talking to me? They're telling me we are doing it and you're sitting there and just talking. And sometimes I really get worried about it. We have Rishali Kilrani from Delhi, who is very concerned about the plastics that were used in menstrual bags. So she started looking at sanitary products that don't use plastic. And she did a huge awareness campaign and convinced many, many people to switch over to non-plastic alternatives. But that's not all. We also at UNEP have Young Champion Award, the Earth Champion Award. I don't know if you've heard of Vidyut Mohan, who was a young champion, Earth Champion in 2018. He runs this thing called Takachar, where he found out a way of using the farm waste, which is getting burnt and adding to the air pollution, how that can be done properly. So I think all we need is to give a platform for you. we don't give a platform. I think they will lead the way. I don't see a point of, like, sometimes I think when people invite me to talk, I say, what can I talk? I have to learn. I have to learn from them. My generation has been largely responsible for what has happened. And I would like to say sorry and apology to all the youth present here today. We've created this mess and we're expecting you to take care of it now. And I really, really hope I am there to see all of you get into action. And I would like to give a call out for action to all the countries who are present. The Titana Plastic Challenge is running in 33 countries, including Indonesia, Philippines, everywhere. So please join us. Let's take one issue at a time and solve it. If all of us get together, all the youths get together, we can do a great deal. So there is a call out for action. All of you, please join us. We also, but it's not only UNEP. I'm also connected to the Global Environment Education Partnership, which recognizes every year 30 individuals under the age of 30 who've done some admirable work in the field of environment education. So all the youth there are a lot of recognitions and a lot of rewards. Just get cracking and just start working and start your action. Find your place in the planet, begin, take charge, take responsibility from there. With that, I would like to say thank you to all.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we are here in the technical session of this international webinar, which is focused on 4 themes: conflicts, concerns, conservation, and commitments. These 4 words by themselves are good enough for us to understand the meaning, content, seriousness, the contemplation that we need to, and the actions that we need to take on the question of environment in order to drive home the importance of acting together, especially by sensitizing our younger generation. We have with us today eminent personages from 8 different countries. They will share with us their country perspectives, and the lessons that they will put forth will be applicable to all of us globally. I would like to congratulate Vishwa Yuva Kendra and OISCA International for organizing this very wonderful webinar today. It's very apt that the theme has been chosen as balancing environment and development. Development is necessary for comfort and good life. We all agree with that. Environment is necessary for existence of life. If we focus on development only, the cost of compromising on the environmental front would be very serious and damaging. The existence of overall lives could be at risk. But if we focus on environment only, then life might not be as comfortable as we expect it to be. Hence, a balance should be maintained between development and environment. Obviously, development has its costs. If we focus on the development only, the irrevocable damage that we cause to our environment might lead us to extinction of life. Our president, Dr. Nakano, in her book, Mother Earth, she has beautifully explained about how amazingly our Earth is balanced in the universe, such that only Earth can have the environment to support life. Earth can provide all the necessities that is required for supporting life as such. If we cannot maintain this balance, the damage that we could cause is devastating. We all realize that. But we have learned in OISCA, the best thing that we could do to give back to our Mother Nature, to compensate for all the damage that we cause to our environment, is planting trees. And in OISCA Nepal chapter, we have been doing that since last
over 50 years planting trees. Today, I want to share one case with all the distinguished guests present in this seminar. Some 35 years back, people in Nepal, the entrepreneurs, they thought about going into social enterprise. They see profit in planting trees. There's a species of tree we call siso. It grows, matures in 15 to 18 years. And the lumber that they get from this tree is very useful in furnitures and in building houses. And it is in high demand. So the entrepreneurs formed groups and bought lands and planted trees 35, 40 years back. But what happened is in Nepal, the Maoist insurgency was developing. It was very critical. I'm presenting you one special case where 8-10 hectares of land was owned by a group of businessmen. They planted this siso tree on this land, and it was ready to be harvested. They waited for 18 long years for these trees to grow. And in these 18 years, obviously these trees contributed to the environmental conservation. But what happened? Unfortunately, the Maoists, they needed funds to support their activities. And they camped in this jungle, cut all these trees, and sold out the lumbers in the black market. The result is the entrepreneur is disappointed. They didn't get the return that they expected. All 18 years of their effort and investment went into drain. And from that day, they never tried to get into such kind of business as to support the environment and protect the jungles. So this is what happens when there is political conflict. And this is not one-time example. In Nepal, whenever there has been a political upheaval, in Nepal, we have a saying, Nepal ko ban, hariyo ban, Nepal ko dhan. That is, the green forest is Nepal's property, Nepal's equity. But what happens is whenever there is a political upheaval, even the government and the oppositions, they resort to cutting trees and getting the resources that they require for their movements. So here, what I'm trying to say is the conflict is one of the serious issues that is degrading our environment and deforestation that is causing environmental threats to our area. The government needs to have policies and protections available for those entrepreneurs who want to involve themselves into these kind of activities.
I would like to thank you for the time and opportunity to give a speech and share our activities at the VYK Symposium. I was previously a civil servant in Indonesia who served as an agriculture extension agent, and then had the opportunity to study at the OISCA Nishinipong Training Center for 2 years, from 1980 to 1981. It's very good opportunity for me because many important things that I can get and I learn from there, such as agriculture, cultivation technology, seed technology, high spirit of life, hard work ethic and discipline, social care and concern for the environment. After return to Indonesia, it got in my heart and mind What can I do for the people and nation of Indonesia with the knowledge that I have obtained from OISCA International? My heart and my mind ask, with my low position and low income, is it possible for me to express my desire to do something and realize activities according to OISCA mission? This is my question. It's very hard for me, but I trust God to be with me on my path and provide support. I have to be able to work extra hard and hard, establish relationship with colleagues to get help with minimal condition, armed with the will and enthusiasm. While working as a civil servant, I pioneered these activities. One, in 1982, started the business of planting garlic. The business is quite successful, so it can get additional income. From the garlic cultivation business, other activities can be realized. In 1983, I pioneered OISCA Karanganyar Training Center because I believe young people are the power of the nation. 3, in 1991, by the OISCA Karanganyar Training Center building with the family land that we gave to OISCA. And the building came from the sponsor of the Post and Telecommunication Japan. Since then, we have managed training management by preparing human resources from our own alumni who have learned from OISCA International. The OISCA Karanganyar Training Center program of activities includes, first, agribusiness training program, consisting of regular training program and internship training program. Second, environmental program, like children forest program, more 100 elementary school be together. People forest program. At Lawu Mountain, we do 70 forestation, and now very good forest. 3, mangrove restoration, more than 3,000 hectares. Third, natural disaster management program. It's emergency, dispatch of disaster volunteers and fundraising assistance. 4, in 1993, I started the plant breeding research and development activity to produce new height and quality plant varieties. 5, in 1997, I founded a seed company under the name MGA, or Multi Global Agrindo. 6, in addition to the above activities, until now, I'm in charge of several activities. From these various activities, I received several awards. One, from Extension Worker Award from President Suharto. Environmental fighter from the President Abdul Rahman Wahid. Seed industrial from President Megawati. Satya Lancana Beach from Development Award from President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, and Advanced OISCA Movement Awards from the President of OISCA International. That's the experience I can share in the symposium. I believe VYK has a very good vision and mission to advance development in each region for the welfare of the people. Terima kasih. Thank you. Arigatou gozaimasu. Daniel.
So I would like to talk on the 4 C's, that is conflicts, concerns, conservation, and commitments for balancing environment and development in Indian scenario. About India, India has the 10th largest forest area in the world. In 2020, India ranked 3rd globally in increasing its forest area during 2010 to 2020. The forest covered 24% of India's total geographical, accounting for 2% of the world's total forest area in 2020. India's forest cover has increased by more than 3% during 2011 to 2021. This is mainly attributed to increase in very dense forest, which grew by 20% during this period. In August 2021, the Plastic Waste Management Amendment Rules 2021 was notified, which is aimed at phasing out single-use plastic by 2022. The draft regulation on the extended producer responsibility for plastic packaging has been notified. The regulation seeks to strengthen the circular economy of plastic packaging waste, promote development of new alternatives to plastics, and sustainable plastic packaging. In 2020-21, India progressed further on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. India's overall score on the Niti Aayog SDG India Index and the Dashboard 2020-21 improved to 66 from 60 in 2019-20, and it was 57 in 2018-19. The number of front runners increased to 22 states and union territories in 2020-21 from 10 in 1920. Kerala and Chandigarh were the top state and the union territories respectively on SDG performance. That is in 2020-21, very recent. In Northeast India, 64 districts were front runners and 39 districts were performers in the Niti Aayog Northeastern Region District SDG Index. India had announced its first nationally determined contribution under the Paris Agreement in 2015. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi ji, as a part of the national statement delivered at the 26th Conference of Parties, COP29 in Glasgow, which was held very recently, 4 months back, announced ambitious targets to be achieved by 2030. That is to enable further reduction in emissions. The need to start the one word movement, life, that also was named by our Prime Minister, which means lifestyle for environment, urging mindful and deliberate utilization instead of mindless and destructive consumption was underlined. In 2021, India continued exercising significant climate leadership at the international stage under the International Solar Alliance, ISA. It is a coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure, that is the CDRI, and leadership group for industry transition. These are the new movement from India. In September 2015, 193 countries, including India, committed to the Sustainable Development Goals as detailed in the UN resolution, transforming our world, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. That is, we have to measure it in 2030, what will happen in the emission and other categories. The SDG comprehensively covers social, economic, and environmental dimensions and build on the Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, which covered the earlier 15-year period from 2000 to 2015. India has been making strides towards achieving the social, economic, and environmental goals under the SDGs. This achievement gains further significance in the face of the considerable human and economic cost imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has set countries back on their developmental goals and created serious impediments to the attainment of SDGs. The world over, it happened world over. What about climate change? India launched the National Action Plan on Climate Change, NAPCC, on 2008, established 8 national missions to advance action on the country's climate priorities. The major developments under the NAPCC are, one is the NSM, what is NSM, National Solar Mission. As of 31st December of 2021, solar power capacity 49.35 GW has been installed in the country. And another mission is the National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency, NMEE. This Perform, Achieve and Trade PAT scheme was initiated in March 2012. The cycle is going on. And the National Mission for a Green India, GAM, a sum of 455.75 crore has been released to 14 states and the UT during 2016 to 2021, in which afforestation activities were taken up for an area of 1,17,757 hectares. And the alternative fuel energy devices has been distributed, 33,099 households. 3 programs, Atal Mission on Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, Swachh Bharat Mission, and Smart Cities Mission. And there is also National Water Mission. The National Institute of Hydrology is the nodal agency to get the state-specific action plan for the water sector for 19 selected states. It is from the SSAP. And the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture, that is in the financial year 2021 to 25, 20 lakh hectares of land are organic farming and 87 lakh hectares are precision irrigation. And National Mission for Sustaining Himalayan Ecosystem, that also has been achieved by our government of India. And National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change. The mission has created, strengthened 11 centers of excellence on climate change. So with these few words, so India is going forward for our theme is very much suitable under the guidance of our government and our Prime Minister. It is, we are going towards the success. That's all.
I would say that Israel is honored to participate in this challenging event aimed at protecting the environment and our planet as a whole. And really, we have to face, it's a mammoth task. Targeting these issues of our very existence and being at the phase of unbalanced phase, further deteriorating, is definitely critical. And it's not only words, it's really very serious. The balanced, sensitive environment development and the C's that is in this agenda focused at of this event is really at the heart of our future. There is no doubt about it. And we even taking on a very important and big challenge. OISCA movement is committed pursuing a holistic approach and balanced development agenda as our very base sitting here and talking. Thus, we are further and need to explore and sharing our and others' experiences and lessons to take on this challenging task or complex task. At this point, just to mention that issues of waste to energy, for example, and municipal or solid municipal waste, among others, and technologies are definitely one of the necessities when we talk about these challenges, how to make our global and our environment much more comfortable. This global task seems further needing complex approaches. It might be sound too big, but I'm not speaking on behalf of the government of Israel, although I was with them, probably is calling, in my opinion, on revising an allocation of national land and natural resources. Of course, in the wider perspective, I'm speaking at the moment of agro, rural, urban, spatial issues, public good programs, and much more. I'm speaking to you from a moshav, from a very village in Israel, and I can tell you that the urban-rural encroaching and the issues that are around it, without, because you mentioned most of the remedies of it, is really a challenge, I believe, in big countries, and definitely in a country like Israel, which is very small. So the game is much more complex. And I hope that we will also have the opportunity in one of the forthcoming, and with the good partnership of Dr. Levy, that she's right there on the subcontinent of India, to do this somehow together. And of course with Oiska, because we are here at the youth atmosphere. So in light of youth, let us further reiterate our special attention to the future generations, their creative approach towards innovative technologies, media, and I think they have the will to make change both at a policy and operational level. So let us give them that power as we are going along.
So I just want to say a very, very brief few things. And because I teach environmental ethics, both Western and Indian, I hope that we can find a common denominator between these two approaches, that I think this is really what we need in time of this enormous crisis that we are experiencing today. So when the environmental crisis was first recognized, if you want, in the early 60s and 70s of the previous century, we started to see many different approaches to really try to understand why we are in an environmental crisis. What is this? What are the origins of the environmental crisis? And we started to see two main group of approaches. One that we can refer to as a shallow ecology, or sometimes it also referred to as a technological optimism approach, that basically said, you know what, we have such a sophisticated science, such a sophisticated technology, we can solve any environmental problem that we have with these technologies. And that technologies usually also correlates with our current capitalist economic institutions, meaning that we are still maintaining in the same framework of what we value the most. We value the most the GDP line or the profit line. On the other hand, we can see a different group of approaches that we can refer to as, if you want, deep ecology or deep ecological thinking, that started to say that, you know what, maybe this environmental crisis that we are experiencing is that, you know, the degradation of our most basic elements of human life, our water, our food systems, the quality of the air, is no less than a reflection to a much deeper crisis, which is a crisis of perception. It is a crisis the way we see ourselves in regard to nature. And it's a crisis of morality, that we need to rethink our relationship between humans and nature. But that to say that it's not just that we need to see ourselves as interconnected, as already mentioned here in this wonderful webinar. I think that the question of awareness and the question that we are connected to the earth, the earth part of the earth, we cannot live, okay? We cannot sustain ourselves because everything that we use comes from nature. We need to implement this knowledge, this wisdom within our economic system. And since Gandhi was mentioned here quite a few times, so I want to say that some of the aspects which are not very well known in his thinking are related to his super important economic thinking. And his economic thinking presented us with new institutions, with decentralized economic institutions, with the right technology. What is the right technology that can humanize, that can help us execute our noble human quality, whereas mass production usually dehumanize the human spirit. Just to give you one example. So in this reference, I do want to say that I think that India, and I think that Asian thought in general, and Indian specifically, and specifically Gandhi, not we should cherish his work, his wonderful work in legacy in the field of conflict resolution, but I think we also need to take his economic thinking in a serious manner.
Today, I would like to talk about balancing the environment and development, conflicts and concerns, and how we can conserve our climate change. First of all, climate change means the long-term process and shift on our temperatures. The main question that is asked today is how can we balance development with our environment and climate change? Since the beginning of the industrial change, we've seen our climate change through good and bad. But since this evaluation has happened, in 2020, we had the most hottest years on record. And these greenhouse gases and global warming are hurting our environment and our climate, which will not let us have a future generation. When I mean by greenhouse gases, I am saying carbon dioxide, CFC gases, and other pollutants. For example, when I mean other pollutants, I'm talking about power plants. Power plants are used for electricity these days, and it really hurts our environment, so we cannot have a future. The effects of climate change are hot temperatures, severe storms, tsunamis, and droughts. It increases drought because our ozone layers are going to be thinning, and when our ozone layers are thin, we cannot have agricultural crops. And as you know, Ethiopia is mostly based on agriculture. And sea levels would rise, which will cause flooding. After flooding, we will have hurricanes, and all of this effect will come of us being negligent on our environment. So I will now share my idea of how we can make our environment better and how we can conserve it for the next generation. These solutions can only work if we all can work together and help ourselves. We should plant trees or afforestation, and we should speak up and spread awareness, and we should minimize our waste. Or we can use the 3 R's. The 3 R's are recycling, reusing, and reducing. After that, we can conserve our water because our water can be hurt by different types of plastics that are thrown into the ocean, which also hurts our next generation and our aqua life. We also should minimize the cars and automobile harmful gases that comes out. And when I say by that, I mean the only solution that we should do is by either encouraging public transport, or we can encourage chargeful cars or electric cars. We can also encourage more more cardboard boxes. For example, I mean by that as in plastic bags and plastic containers should be avoided because they destroy our environment and they're very hard to get rid of. They also make our environment a little bit more dirty, as I say. And if we change those things into paper or cardboard boxes, we can recycle them and use them again. And we should encourage children and young people, such as me, to volunteer and educate others so they can also learn something else from themselves. After that, we should avoid deforestation and we should make rules about plastic bags. After plastic bag, we should talk to the industrial wastes. What I mean by the industrial waste is that factories should contain themselves from letting out harmful chemicals into the ocean and into the atmosphere. Those are really bad for our environment, and it also causes storms and unwanted chemical clouds that will continue to give the people of that area skin cancer or lung cancer. We should also avoid burning trashes and other materials. We should find different types of compost things, for example, fertilizers, pesticides, and insecticides. They are very harmful for the crops, our land, the soil, and our future. Even us, we will not be healthy. So we should stop those and we should turn them into natural fertilizers. Like we can use animal feces, or we can also use different types of vegetables that we've already consumed. Also, I might say this and people might not agree, but we should eat less meat, because if we eat less meat, then it will decrease the methane intake. And methane is the one compound that like really destroys our ozone layers. In conclusion, if we balance the environment and spread awareness for all these ideas, and if we share this to our children, our parents, and everybody, and if we work together and spread awareness, we can fix this climate problems.
Today, as everyone knows, we're in the topic of conflict, concern, conservation, and commitments for a better future in the era of climate change. Well, we're now in the age where climate change can never get more visible, and it is clearly a serious global crisis. The air is hotter than ever, global records. More heat waves, lowest amount of ice ever recorded at the North Pole, destroyed biodiversity, and increasing of sinking coast swallowed by higher sea level. If you think this fluctuating nature is the only threat from climate change, you are wrong, because the economic impact from this is expected to wipe up to 18% of worldwide GDP by 2050 if the world keeps warming up like this. Since the first appearance of modern industrial society, it's been only 150 years ago that we have exchanged it, the stability of our world climate with safer, easier, and comfortable lifestyle and advanced technology, which give us the power to dominate the world. Therefore, the consequences is the price we all need to pay, and the debt is waging on every human population on Earth right now. The equation, though, is to this significant problem, though, is pretty simple. By quickly downfall the greenhouse gas releasing into the biosphere, the world will be back to its balance in no time. The real question is, how can we make that possible? Of course, this cannot be done with only one country alone. This is why governments across the globe have to come and sit together in one room, trying to figure out an action plan to overcome this crisis together. For this past decade, we humans had made an attempt from calling out for industrialized nations to reduce their greenhouse gas emission through Kyoto Protocol to first time ever Paris Agreement to actively stop the temperature of the planet to raise up above like 2 degrees. Finally, the new challenging goal freshly came off last year from Glasgow's conference, a worldwide net zero. This ambitious aim is pledged by over 200 countries, including Thailand, as our government promised to achieve carbon neutral in 2050 and being net zero by 2065. Now that the mission have been given, easier said than done, right? Implying them to each country with different situation is another story, especially in the developing country, including Thailand, Malaysia, India, Philippines, and Indonesia, where better climate and their developing plan really go into opposite direction. Data shows that these developing countries were often the ones with the least resolve to adapt to the effect of global warming. Yet, they are the ones who will actually gain most out of the effort of reducing the raise up of the temperature. So maybe, isn't it the right time for a developing country to look far into the sustainable future and seriously taking urgent missions into actions? Although big goals has been announced to the world for a while, does everyone really know about all this? Do farmers and gardeners back in your hometown really know it is actually climate change that kill their rice and products every day? And their government actually has already promised to the whole world to make the situation better. If climate change is the biggest threat to the whole world, every soul in the world have to play a part of this as a hero, as we all need to cooperate and work together as a team. For that reason, giving them the information and educate them regarding to environment concerns and conservation is so important, especially in local communities and young people, the future of humanity, so that they understand and realize what has been happening to our planet is a big problem. As for me, one of the young adults who was born in the age of an unstable world, it can feel hopeless sometimes about how little our action can be, but it's essential to keep doing what our little hand can do and keep hoping for a better future waiting ahead of us, because this feeling of hopeless can be the powerful drive that will make a change in our generation and open a window to the sustainable world. No action is not an option for us. Together we can save the world. If I can do it, you can do it.
I want to thank the organizer for having me in this important and fascinating event and occasion to dialogue with young people. Today, the world has many problems. In the past, humanity experienced devastating calamities, but they were local. But today, what we face is global. Researchers say that all the issues will reach their tipping point simultaneously, which may trigger other problems to break out, reaching the point of no return. OISCA, our organization, has engaged in rural development, capacity development of young people, forestation, and environmental education. Our activities are not divorced from the soil or earth, which was often mentioned by the former president of OISCA International. Involving young people is our primary concern. Young people should be key actors in shaping our future. They are full of youthful energy, have great potential to grow and learn new things. They are flexible, adjusting to the changing world and spearheading the drive for new and constructive movement. The world population increases by 83 million people every year. Researchers estimate that today's 7.6 billion will reach 8.6 billion by 2030 and 9.8 billion by 2050. In 2050, the world will need 50% more production of food, feed, and materials for biofuel from the level of 2012. Wealthy countries waste food, being aware of many people suffering from chronic starvation. We see the current trend of the world contributing to the worsening food problem. The world's agriculture base erodes and deforestation continues. People prefer more tasty meat. A lot of cereals produced today by big agribusinesses and for the feed of domestic animals. They pump up underground water to irrigate their crops by using huge land, machines, and efficient systems to reduce costs. The groundwater may dry up sooner or later. Others develop virgin forest to make crop fields, causing forest land to shrink rapidly. No more virgin forest is available for turning into crop fields. The world has increased the trade of food in recent decades. Several countries produce cereals for export, and many others import from a limited number of countries. Some people target food grains as their speculative buying, so international food prices fluctuate. Low-income countries often cannot afford to buy enough food for their people. We should think about how to deal with this problem. The best way is to strengthen our communities and turn to the local consumption of locally produced foods. We can eat safer food. Soybean from leading producers, for example, is genetically modified. Feed for animals is mostly genetically modified. Some scientists say GM food is safe, but it could take many years to see adverse effects on human health. Renowned biologists warn that GM feed and food still possibly cause harm to human health, and the symptom may appear many decades later. What should we do? We strengthen our communities, and members cooperate in promoting the system of local consumption and locally produced foods. We should stop depending on the international supply of food. I'm sure young people will have enough energy and skill to realize changes. One success model will be enough as a first step. Others can emulate it. OISCA is action and practice oriented. We must put our idea into practice. We count on youth who have youthful energy and enthusiasm.
So first of all, thank you very much to our beloved team, OISCA International and VYK Kendra. If we have the team like this, so vibrant, so enthusiastic, so world will be ours. So thank you so much, dear team, first of all. On the behalf of our managing trustee, Sri Cecil Bajaj, and on the behalf of our chairman, Sri Rajat Kumar Narayan, and whole person of the board members, we would like to thank our all participants for your love and affection. Thank you so much, dear. So VYK Kendra, India and OISCA International Japan jointly resolved the following as a part of international webinar on balancing environment and development: conflicts, concerns, conservation, and commitment for a better future in the era of climate change. We recommend to accelerate and support efforts to promote sustainable consumption and production patterns, including through sustainable lifestyles and resource efficiency, and to accelerate actions with the support of the United Nations Environment Programme to implement the framework of programs on sustainable consumption and production patterns as a tool for action on conservation and commitment for a better future in the era of climate change. We recommend to ensure the full integration of the environmental dimension especially throughout the Sustainable Development Goals, that is the SDGs, acknowledging that a healthy environment is an essential requirement and key enabler for sustainable development. We recommend ensure the full implementation of multilateral environmental agreements and other international and regional environmental commitments in an effective and coordinated manner, while promoting synergies among them, acknowledging their positive and sustainable development. We recommend reinforce efforts to halt biodiversity loss and combat desertification, drought, and land degradation, including through the implementation of existing environmental agreements, and to ensure that ecosystems are resilient and continue to provide their services. Make sure that each country follow the proclaimed nationally determined contribution (NDC) under the Paris Agreement drawn at the 26th Conference of the Parties COP26 in Glasgow in November 2021, as announced, considering ambitious targets to be achieved by 2030 to enable further reduction in emissions. Start the one-word movement, LIFE, which means lifestyle for environment, urging meaningful and deliberate utilization instead of mindless and destructive consumption. Take action to prevent, combat, and eradicate the illegal trade in wildlife and wildlife products, which has major economic, social, and environmental impacts, contributing to damage the ecosystem and rural livelihood, undermines good governance and the rule of law, and threatens national security. We are not staying here. We recommend undertake urgent action to address climate change, a persistent crisis, countries, and determines their ability, in particular developing countries, to achieve sustainable development, which requires cooperation by all countries in accordance with the objective principles and provisions of the United Nations Framework Conventions on Climate Change. We are very thankful to Kisiko Fumio, who have framed it and finalized it, and we are very thankful to Vishwa Kendra and OSCA International for providing me a golden opportunity to read out this, to share our thoughts and ideas. Just I want to share that resolution is for what? To resolve the conflicts, to internalize the concerns, to conserve the environment, and commitment towards mother and planet. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, considering the time constraint, I would like to stop here, but not before that. I would like to share one very famous quote. In fact, it comes under the poetry of Robert Frost. That is, this is not the webinar. This is the sensitization program. Why this is sensitization program? This is beginning. This is not the end. Just we would like to conclude with the famous quote, that is, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. We are overwhelmed to all the participants, all the delegates, all the speakers. This is a fortune, and this will be the milestone in the history of Vishwa Kendra and OSCA International, that you have not deliberated your thoughts, ideas. This was not only ideas, these were the wisdom pearls. Only concern is we have to internalize it, we have to put our ideas in and translate it into the action.
I'm extremely happy to address in this meeting. We have just concluded one of the important, meaningful, fruitful international youth webinar organized by VYK and OSCA. So thank you. First of all, I wish to thank all participants. More than 1,000 participants participate throughout this program. As official, I wish to thank our guest of honor, Gayatri Raghav of UNEP, and special thanks to Yuki Yoshida, Embassy of Japan, for his special address. But in this program, I wish to mention special thanks, convey my special thanks to VYK Board of Trustees, especially Mr. Rajat Narain, Chairman, and Mr. Shishir Bajaj, Managing Trustee, Mr. S.R. Halbe, Mr. Hemant Parpalia, Mr. Kushugra Nayan Bajaj, Nirat Mehta, and all trustees. Thank you, VYK Board of Trustees, for allowing us to organize this wonderful program. My special thanks goes to Mr. Udaya Sankar Singh, Chief Coordinator, Mr. Ajit Rai, Senior Officer, Mr. Rajat Thomas, Program Officer, the Dynamic Youth Organizer, Mr. Rajat Thomas. My special thanks from OISCA International. Especially our participants. I also wish to thank our participants from Nepal, Mr. Neil Krishna Tambraka, Indonesia, Molano, Israel, Mr. Suvi Herman, Mr. Anisha Abubakar, our OISCA Secretary General, Mr. Nageshi, OISCA Japan, Mr. Alok Sinhaji, our Vice President, Mr. Kitsuyo Fumio, General Secretary of OISCA, Secretary General of OISCA International. He is participating from Indonesia. A special thanks to Group Captain R. Srinivasan retired for his wonderful coordination of this program. And Mr. Anu Kumar, I wish to special mention some participation of Dr. Palani Ammal, Principal, Sri Krishna Aditya College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore, and so many personalities. So, and also thank VYK team, Mr. Anand, Abhurva, and all team members for their wonderful cooperation. And once again, I thank on behalf of OISCA and VYK for this grand support. And I wish, as Mr. Udeji mentioned, we wish to meet actually at least once in a year such a program, because OISCA was conducting Global Youth Forum every year. Due to COVID pandemic, we could not proceed it. So I consider this is one of that program. So I wish and request VYK to host this program like this at least once in a year. Thank you. Thank you all from OISCA and VYK. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. For more updates, please subscribe to our official YouTube channel and follow us here.